Guffers, you know what's up. We are very excited to announce this season we're partnered with Thrive Fantasy. Thrive Fantasy is a daily fantasy sports app for player props. They have done all the hard work and eliminated the need to do any of the hard work yourself and all the research because they only ask you about the top tier athletes for that specific sport. Baseball, football, basketball, hockey, even golf. So all you golf guffers out there, check it out. Go to www.thrivefantasy.com or download the Thrive Fantasy app in the App Store or the Play Store. Sign up. All you have to do is use our promo code GUFF, that's GUFF, when you sign up and make at least a $20 deposit. Once you do that, you'll get an instant $20 bonus, so you're getting free money to win more money. Why not do it? It's a great deal. We're very excited to partner with Thrive Fantasy. So once again, go to thrivefantasy.com or download the app and use our promo code GUFF, G-U-F-F, for $20 for a $20 bonus when you deposit $20 or more. Sign up, prop up, and get guffed. What's up, Guff? This is Grown Up Fantasy Football. Joey Marino here with my two co-hosts, Zach Maziarz, James Reiner. The boys are back, and we just had a full week of NFL football. How's it feel?
Oh, so good. Finally.
Feels great to be back.
Yes. Good to be alive again.
Yes. Yeah, we had some really good games, actually, over the weekend. Some good ones. Maybe a couple of duds. Some people disappointing, some people pleasing. A lot of interesting fantasy stuff to get to. So today we'll be covering some news, some injuries that have happened over week one. We'll be going through our take of each of the games, people who disappointed, people who
Appointed.
did not disappoint, appointed. And then we'll be giving you some of our waiver wire pickups and some trade targets you may want to look for. So without further ado, let's news and updates. All right, so over the weekend, we had 3 running backs get paid, and paid handsomely. We had Joe Mixon of Cincinnati Bengals signed a 4-year, $48 million deal. Alvin Kamara with the Saints signed a 5-year, $75 million deal. And Dalvin Cook over with the Vikings recorded a 5-year, $63 million deal. So what are your guys' thoughts on those deals? Are they well-deserved? Are they not?
I think they are well-deserved. I think it's a little strange, though, the last couple of years seeing the mantra of teams saying, we're not going to pay our running backs, we're going to get someone young, get them on that rookie contract, and just kind of filter it out that way. So it's weird to see within the same weekend 3 big running back contracts being paid out, which, I mean, they definitely deserve it. They're all great backs. Kind of funny that didn't work out this weekend for all 3 of them. Joe Mixon didn't have the best game, but, talent-wise, it's all there for all of them. So, yeah, they all deserve to be paid. They all did it the right way, too, which I guess there's no other way to do a holdout anymore if you're going to be fined $50,000 per day. But, none of them held out. None of them skipped practices besides Kamara for a couple of days. But, they were all there. They were all putting in the work. So, kudos to them.
Yeah, all talented running backs, all deserve the money. Don't think there's anything else to be said there.
Mm-hmm. So that was the big news. So let's talk a little bit of injuries, and we had quite a few happen. So
yeah,
Le'Veon Bell went down with a hamstring injury. Now they were kind of talking about it in the weeks leading up to Game 1. Lev Bell sat out with a hamstring injury. Gase held him out of practice. There's a little back and forth, and it looks like the hamstring injury, it's real. So what are you doing with Le'Veon Bell?
If you can sell him for something right now, I guess I would try to. I've seen some people wondering if they should drop him. I would not drop him because, I don't know, looking at the waiver wire, I don't think there's anything out there that I'd rather have than Bell. But I don't know. This affirms how terrible of a coach Adam Gase is to me, because you look now in the news report, and he was quoted saying that it was his fault playing Bell after that hamstring injury. I don't know if y'all saw the game, but Bell was held on a route that he ran and tweaked his hamstring, and then Gase still put him in and let him play like 5 more downs after that. So potentially hurt it even worse doing that. Not sure, but it almost seems like Gase is trying to get him injured for the year, so that way Gore can come in. So it's pretty concerning. Honestly, I'm kind of hoping that they trade Bell so they can get him out of there, because the Jets just altogether look terrible. But we'll get into that a little bit in the game reaction. But yeah, all in all, I think Gase is a terrible coach from this. Hopefully Bell gets back on the field soon, because he did look like they were going to involve him in the receiving work a little bit more. So we'll see.
So is Frank Gore the back to have in the Jets' backfield now?
I don't know.
Or at least
right
for
now,
the foreseeable future?
I don't
right
know
now,
if
he might
besides Jamison Crowder, I don't know if I'd want anyone in the Jets team. So
I agree with that.
as badly as they looked, I don't know if I'd want anyone. Le'Veon Bell, like, having him is borderline just because he's such a talent, pre-hamstring injury. But, you downgrade to Frank Gore, he's not going to be involved in the receiving game. Yeah, I don't see a whole lot of production there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So moving on, Devonte Parker also dealt with a hamstring injury. He might be out for a bit. So that's another tricky one to monitor. These hamstring injuries, they tend to linger. So
and you can't come back too soon from a hamstring injury. Otherwise, you'll just keep re-injuring it. So that's one of those things you actually want them to stay out a little bit longer just to make sure it heals up right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You got to watch out with that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, James.
Devonte Parker, he's a good player, and you don't want to drop him if he's just has a slight injury. Sounds like he'll be out for like a couple weeks max. So Preston Williams should be decent while he's out too.
Yeah, fire up your Preston Williams. Mm-hmm. Yeah, does this increase? I know Mike Gesicki didn't get a whole lot of production, which the Dolphins as a whole didn't get a whole lot of production, but does this increase y'all's stock in Mike Gesicki at all, or make you want him anymore?
I think he's just one of those tight ends. You're going to hope he catches a touchdown that week, and that's going to be your fantasy points.
Okay.
Yeah, most likely. That's probably how it's going to happen. Another injury from Thursday's game, Duke Johnson is dealing with a sprained ankle, and he's considered week to week. Now, it looked like out of the two Johnsons, David performed admirably against the Chiefs in a losing effort, but
yeah, I think this helps David Johnson. Can't really say DJ in this situation. David J. Because the only thing we were seeing in reports and stuff throughout this offseason was, okay, Duke Johnson might take some of the passing down work from David Johnson. Even though David Johnson is very good in the passing game, that's kind of where Duke excels as well. So he could vulture some of those receiving routes, some of those targets. So with him being out a couple of weeks here, I just think that boosts production for David Johnson. I don't think anyone was starting Duke Johnson. I think most people just had him rostered just in case something happened to David Johnson, since, last year he was injured majority of the season or just didn't look right. So, I think this just helps with David Johnson's stock.
Yeah, I think this news is pretty much irrelevant to fantasy. I don't think it has any major implications anywhere.
Thank you for that,
Poor
James.
Duke.
Sorry, Duke.
So we're also dealing with, unfortunately, a couple of season-ending injuries already in Week 1. You got Blake Jarwin, Cowboys tight end, has an apparent ACL injury, out for the year, as well as Marlon Mack has an Achilles injury, and he is also out for the year. So it's definitely, if it wasn't before, it is now Jonathan Taylor's season in Indianapolis.
Yeah, this is going to be huge for Jonathan Taylor. It's kind of crazy how this worked out, actually, because I know everyone was pretty high on Jonathan Taylor, but knew, okay, you're going to have to wait some weeks for the offense to get going, for them to kind of realize, okay, Jonathan Taylor needs to be the bell cow here and beat out Marlon Mack for the job. Well, it turns out it only took 1 week. So it's basically if you took that, late third, fourth, who knows, maybe even fifth round pick on Jonathan Taylor, you probably have an RB1 moving forward. So congratulations to you.
Yeah, he was definitely the most talented back on the team. It sucks for Marlon Mack that he got hurt, but Jonathan Taylor, I think, is a guaranteed RB1 now.
Yep. And Blake Jarwin, I was actually thinking he was going to do fairly well this season, especially with Jason Witten gone. But, you hate to see that. That was a non-contact as well, where he went down with the ACL tear. So hate to see that for him, but, excited for when he comes back next year.
Yeah, just more ammo. And lastly, Michael Thomas, can't guard Mike, is dealing with a high ankle injury. He says he wants to play through it, but we'll see. I think they're going to be monitoring him pretty closely. He's not someone you're going to drop, obviously. So just be careful.
You're not going to drop Michael Thomas?
I don't
Call
think
me
we'll
crazy.
let you drop Michael Thomas.
I think
Probably not.
We can get into this later on in the episode and stuff, but we'll see. Who knows? Maybe someone in your league's willing to trade him after this. But a high ankle sprain, this isn't. I don't know. Maybe he's just insanely tough, or he's got some steroid shots he's about to inject. But this isn't something that you usually play through right after sustaining this kind of injury. Maybe it's not a high ankle sprain. Maybe it's a high ankle tweak. But ask Alvin Kamara, ask Saquon Barkley. These things take a couple weeks. So if he is in there next week, then that's not good. To me, you want to rest that, get him back when he's healthy. So we'll see what happens, but I don't see him playing on it for a couple weeks. And if he does, I'd actually, I don't know, I'd be tempted to bench him because he'd be on a limited snap count. And who knows, could possibly re-injure after just a couple of snaps. So
yeah, not going to be good. Not going to be good. But with that, let's get into some week 1.
All right, week 1 reactions. So first, we have, even though it's a couple days past, the Texans at the Chiefs. Didn't get to cover this yet. So what are y'all's initial thoughts on this? I know one of my players that I thought was going to go off, one of my starts of the week, and I think most people did, was Clyde Edwards-Hilaire. Had a great game. What did y'all think about this game? It was a great way to start off football, huh?
Yeah, the Chiefs looked great. Your running back looked great, Zach. You want a piece of the Chiefs offense. I think any player you can get your hands on, you want them on your team.
I would accept Nicole Hardman.
I would like him on my team. I think there's a week where he's going to go off.
Yeah. Would you rather have Nicole Hardman or Sammy Watkins on your team for the rest of the season?
Hardman.
Yeah, I say Hardman.
Fine, Hardman.
Sammy's got 1 week in him, the beginning of the season,
mind.
and then
I'm still putting in a waiver for him this week because there's a chance he could be a valuable asset in fantasy down the road. Even though his history has proven that he kind of falls off the map. But on the Texans side, Will Fuller, my start of the week, he didn't explode like I thought he was going to. But he still had a solid game, a 15-point game in half-point PPR.
Man, he still had so many targets. I mean, they struggled for sure. The first half was wow, maybe that Hopkins for David Johnson trade wasn't so bad because David Johnson was looking great. And then the second half, you really noticed, okay, they need that wide receiver one still. They needed Nuke. And they tried to make up for it with Will Fuller. He had a great game in my opinion. He had a lot of targets. He did good, but that was about it. That was all they could do receiving downfield. I know Brandon Cooks, he had no separation, didn't get much, but he also had a quad injury. So, yeah, it wasn't looking good for them. But, yeah, Will Fuller, I thought he looked great.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. I think the Texans, they definitely need a wide receiver one. David Johnson looks the part. Hopefully he can continue it. And CEH, he's for real.
Yep.
We knew the Chiefs are for real, but, yeah, he's legit.
He really is.
Legit.
Yeah, that was a good way to kick it off, too. So, next we're moving on to our Sunday games. We had the Jets at the Bills. What did y'all think of this one, speaking of Lev Bell?
Yeah, it was very rough for the Jets. I'm worried about having any player on their team. Le'Veon Bell is the only player you want to own, and maybe Jamison Crowder. And I'm worried about Le'Veon Bell, even when he comes back, even if he's 100% from this hamstring injury. But the Bills, on the Bills side, Josh Allen looked great. He had a great fantasy game. Stephon Diggs had a decent game. And the defense looks pretty stellar. I think the only one you're worried about is Singletary because he's splitting carries with Moss. You don't know who's going to get the points.
Yeah, I think later on Moss is going to take that job. I think it might take a couple of games, but I think overall he'll probably take that job. I was pleased with John Brown's performance too. I thought kind of coming into the season, John Brown was still going to produce like he did last year, even with Diggs there. I think that just kind of opens up more space for John Brown having Diggs there. So I was very pleased with his output. I think he had like 16 half PPR points, so that was awesome to see. Jets were so bad, I couldn't tell actually, and really could not gauge if Josh Allen is what we have been hyping him up to be, or if it was also some of the Jets just being that bad, you know? So we'll see what he does these next couple of weeks, but I think he looked great.
Yeah, I mean, it's not hard to look great against the Jets, but there is that one pass that made its way around the internet that completely sailed over John Brown. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, that was awful.
Yeah, yeah. So jury's still out with Josh Allen. He was one of my starts of the week, and he made bank for you if you started him. But yeah, the Jets, it's not looking good for old Sam Darnold. I wouldn't mind Jamison Crowder just because of volume. But even then, he's a flex at best. And if I don't have any other options, I'm playing Crowder.
That's why I think Jets are going to be very bad. I think they're going to be probably the worst team in the NFL this year. And so I think Crowder is a safe play because they're going to be playing from behind. They're going to have to pepper him with targets to try and come back. And that's honestly why I am okay. If Le'Veon Bell is like your second running back, then yeah, try and dish him out and get a trade going there. But I would not drop him. I'm holding on to him personally because I have him in my flex, so I can just fill in that flex spot until he comes back. But I think they're going to be playing from behind for a while this entire season, so I think he's going to be involved in the passing game. He already had, if it weren't for that holding play, he would have had probably like a good 50, 60 receiving yards just within the time he played, on this Sunday's game. So I think they'll have to pass a lot. So I think Crowder and Bell, when Bell comes back, are going to be the two safest bets there. But other than that, I'm not taking anything Jets.
Do not.
Yeah, definitely not. All right, Packers at Vikings. Joey, what'd you think of this game?
This was great. As an Aaron Rodgers and an Aaron Jones owner, I was very pleased with this game. Aaron Rodgers was saying, I think all last week, that the Packers are getting looked over. And he played like with a chip on his shoulder. Rodgers, he's just slinging the ball in tight windows, just bombing it deep to MVS. And Devonte Adams was your wide receiver one on the week. Good Lord, I hate playing against him, but it was a nice cushion to have Aaron Rodgers playing on my team. I think the Packers, they look legit. Yep. The defense doesn't look like there's any drop off. Jair Alexander is coming along as a nice cornerback for the team. And the Vikings, it looked like they couldn't get anything going in the first half and finally just woke up offensively in the second half. But you can tell that there's significant casualties on that defense after this whole offseason where they just cleaned house. They're young.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Vikings used to be a defense that you were kind of afraid of, and now you're just kind of like, let's target them now. And
you're afraid of starting them now.
Exactly, yeah. And honestly, this is what we told you guys. Rodgers and Adams was our QB wide receiver stack on the season, our number one QB wide receiver stack, and they both went off this game. And I'm seeing a lot more of that this season. Rodgers has the third easiest schedule for QB. Devonte Adams is lights out. He's one of the best route runners in the league. And on top of that, he is like one of their only targets. I know how they have Lazard, they have MVS, but he's just constantly going to get targets there. So I think that's what we're going to see all season long. Now, James, you have both of them on your team, don't you?
Yes. Combined for 64 points together in half-point PPR formats.
That's awesome.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers looked like he was in MVP form. And if he keeps playing at this level, you have to have Lazard. You probably have to start him every week. You probably have to play MVS most weeks if he keeps playing like this. The Vikings looked kind of concerning. Cousins kind of played rough in that first half. I mean, you got to play Cook and Thielen probably every week, but I'm a little concerned about the Vikings going forward.
Yep. What's funny to me is that being a Packers fan, I see all of these, Vikings fans and stuff say how Vikings are going to win the division, Packers will come in second, and after seeing the Vikings game, I'm fully confident Packers are going to win the division. But
so do y'all think Rodgers was just that good, or the Vikings defense was just that bad?
I think Rodgers is that good. I mean, we know Rodgers is that good. Like, that's not like, we want to see more of it. We've seen a lot of it. We've seen that over his entire career, so we know he's that good. I think this is just chalk this less up to the Vikings defense and more to Rodgers being second year in the Flores system, getting his ground, having a chip on his shoulder after they drafted Love. I think this is going to be what the season looks like.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a little bit of both. I think the Vikings are young, but Rodgers is the man.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Moving on, we got the Eagles playing the football team, the Washington football team, that is.
Oh, that one.
No.
Yeah, that one. Not just any football team, the football team.
That football team.
What are our thoughts here? James, me and you got this one right. We predicted that the football team was going to win, and football team did win.
Yes. Washington's defense looked awesome in the second half. Chase Young had 8 sacks for his rookie debut.
That was beautiful.
The thing that's
Chase
concerning.
Didn't have 8.
He didn't?
No, the team had 8. He had, I think, 1.5.
My fault. Yeah, you're right.
I wish.
I was gonna say that would have been the best draft pick ever.
But the Eagles look concerning. That offensive line looked pretty rough for them.
Man, that line, like I going into this season was like, okay, their line, has some dings and bruises, some injuries, but I was like, they're still going to be an above average line. And after seeing that game, I can't remember how many times Carson Wentz got sacked, but I'm nervous. I'm nervous for those who spent high on Miles Sanders when he comes back. I'm nervous for Carson Wentz. He did not have a good game. I'm just nervous for the Eagles in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that took a toll, definitely.
Right. Now, what do y'all think of Dallas Goddard? We've got him and Zach Ertz. People pay up high for Zach Ertz, and Dallas Goddard's sitting on most waivers. Maybe he's rostered in some leagues, but for him to go off like that, Zach Ertz still had a touchdown, saved his day there, but he out-targeted Zach Ertz. He had more yards. He had a touchdown. What are y'all's thoughts on him moving forward?
I mean, tight ends are hard to come by. If there's one producing, you have to have him on your team. So,
yeah, with all those injuries, Goddard's going to be another receiver in that offense. They're probably going to run more 2 tight end sets. Yeah, he's definitely someone you want to look at, and we'll get to him in a little bit.
Yeah. Also, just want to point out, with week 1, there's going to be a lot of games where players that are high draft capital or we have projected pretty high for the season don't produce that well. It's just a week 1 thing. It's 1 week out of the season. I wouldn't hit the panic button yet. Terry McLaurin, he's one of those. didn't produce as well as you would have liked against an Eagles secondary that's fairly easy. I wouldn't worry about that. I wouldn't be trying to jump ship and sell him, right now. I will just hold on, wait. It's going to get better. It's just week 1.
I am a little worried about the Washington running backs, though. It looks like a full-blown committee. I don't really think you can trust any of them. I think Gibson was probably drafted too high in most leagues.
Yes.
What are y'all's thoughts?
Yeah, I think a lot was put into Gibson without really knowing the full depth of this. It's funny because wasn't Bryce Love, he was a healthy scratch, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah. And, Gibson didn't do all that much. And Peyton Barber coming in here with as many touches as he had and the touchdowns. All right, All right, so next we're moving on to the Browns at the Ravens, the literal Browns. What do we think of this game? What did we think?
Browns are not a good football team.
No.
Baker's probably not an NFL QB.
Baker looks like Johnny Manziel. I don't know if it's the Browns organization that does this to QBs or what, but he honestly reminds me of Johnny Manziel. I could see him playing in the CFL for a little bit after this, then being a used car salesman for a little bit. I don't know.
That was Josh Gordon.
Oh, yeah, you're right. But yeah, definitely concerning for sure. On the flip side of that, though, my gosh, Lamar Jackson looked like a surgeon on the field. We thought, I remember talking about this in an episode, how his touchdown regression, his passing's not going to be as great as it was last season, and I think I have to take that back because it looks like he's going to do the exact same thing as last season.
Yeah, I mean they only added weapons with J.K. Dobbins. That offense is still together. A lot of continuity on the offensive line too. They're lights out. Start your Ravens, all of them.
No, I'm thinking,
What about Mark Ingram? Are y'all worried about Mark Ingram?
That's a little bit. Yeah, I'm thinking it may be more committee between Ingram and Dobbins, and a little bit of Gus Edwards in there too. Yep. That's where I'm a little concerned with the Ravens.
I think though with game script, that was a big thing with this game because they got out to an early lead and the entire time were at a pretty big lead. I think Ingram is the starter. I do think Dobbins is going to take a significant amount of the snap share, but I think when they are close game, I don't know how many games they'll be down in, but when it's a closer game than that and not a shootout like that was, I think that Ingram will get more snaps. So not insanely concerned. I am still concerned though, because that was a pretty bad showing, and he did not get as many snaps and as much playing time as you would have liked. So, but again, I chalk that more up to game script. So,
yeah, and the other biggest takeaway I think is Chubb is going to give up a lot of work to Kareem Hunt. It's pretty evident in that game.
Yeah,
they paid him for a reason. Yeah,
there were a couple of running backs this week that were really concerning that you spend a first or a second round draft pick on, and after this week, I think a lot of people. It's funny because in the offseason, I can't wait for fantasy to start, and this Sunday I was so excited, and it started, and I'm still super excited, but at the same time, I'm filled with a little bit of rage. Just when your players don't do that well, or you want them to do better, or you want to win, you have a lot of anger built up inside of you, and I think a lot of the running backs taken in the first and second round, there's probably going to be a lot of that rage this season if they continue doing what they did this week.
Zach had a rough week 1, everybody.
I did. Yeah. I'm going to go cry.
Send your condolences to @Zach_grownupff.
Thank you. But yeah, Nick Chubb, I would send my condolences to anyone who had Nick Chubb. I know you have him, James, but yeah, this one, I don't know. I think this is more game-wise as well. They did split the carries, which is kind of crazy. But against a good Ravens defense, Chubb still averaged 6 yards a carry, which last year his yards per carry was, I think, 5-something. So you're like, okay, there's no way he goes above that. He averaged 6 yards a carry this past game. So that's pretty good against a good Ravens D. So I think, concerning, but I think he is very efficient. Their O-line's better than it was last year. So you just hope that he's going to get some more touchdowns than last year. So we'll see. He might not be, that high-end RB1, but he could be RB2, potential to be RB1 still. So like a low-end RB1.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Moving on to the next game, we have the Colts at the Jags. What did y'all think of this game? Got to see Phillip Rivers in a Colts uniform finally.
This is probably the game I look forward to least all week. It just sounds boring to me on paper. But my biggest takeaway is Hines looked awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I must pick up, and we'll talk about that towards the end. And then Paris Campbell was used a good bit too. And that's really all you. And T.Y. Hilton, he'll have better games to come. He didn't have a great week. But on the Jacksonville side, I thought James Robinson ran the ball really well. He looked good, even though he didn't get in the end zone or anything.
Right. Yep. He looked good. I actually enjoyed watching this game. I thought it was a good game. It kind of went back and forth a good bit. It was good to see Phillip Rivers hyper-targeting his running backs again. But yeah, I thought it was a good overall game. And it was good to see Gardner Minshew doing what he did. He actually carried the team fairly well. So, Joey, what are your thoughts?
Oh, the mustache is alive, baby.
Oh, gosh.
Man, I grew my mustache out just for you, Gardner, if you're watching. But yeah, he looked
great. Send some Bud Lights, please.
Yeah, please send me some Bud Light. He looked great. Laviska Shenault, you got to see him get his first NFL touchdown. DJ Chark just burning everybody. This Jaguars offense is going to be sneaky good, I think.
Yeah.
I think there's some interesting pieces. I think Minshew is definitely a streamer candidate, and I think Chark is obviously someone you've drafted. Shenault may be an interesting pickup to see how he's used. I know D.D. Westbrook is still working his way back into the lineup, so I don't know. We'll see, but I like a fool started the Colts defense thinking that the Jaguars offense was going to do anything, and boy was I wrong. Wow. Yeah, that
I thought the Colts were going to be a great streamer this week. Didn't do a whole lot, so it is what it is.
I'm just so happy I spent my first round draft pick on Gardner Minshew, and now I have an honest to God chance to win the Bud Light sweepstakes.
Yeah, you have an unlimited supply of Bud Light now, don't you, James?
It's a guarantee now at the end of the season.
Basically. Pretty much is.
Because you were the only one who did it.
And Gardner himself, probably, right?
Yeah, that is true. You got a 50-50 shot there, James.
It was Devonte Adams or Gardner Minshew, and I went with the Bud Light.
You went the right route.
I think so.
That's right.
All right, let's go on to the Raiders at the Panthers. Thoughts on this game here, Josh Jacobs? Wow. Just wow.
Oh, man. That was beautiful. 33 points in the half-point PPR? I didn't have a chance to watch this whole game, but from what I saw, it didn't look like he was used very often in the passing game. Was he?
I can't remember how many targets. Let me see.
I can't remember either. But, I mean, they want to run the ball with him, and, boy, he carved up the Panthers, which I think everyone was predicting as well. And on the flip side, obviously, CMC was dynamite as well. But what stuck out to me is that take that I had about Henry Ruggs. Yeah. It's looking good. He looked very good in this matchup.
I expected a bigger game from him, really. I thought it was going to be a shootout, and it was, but it was just between CMC and Josh Jacobs.
Yeah,
which is conventional wisdom tells you that.
Josh Jacobs also, he had 4 receptions for 46 yards on 6 targets, so that's pretty good actually.
It's not bad.
I think that's
but he's
very
definitely
good.
He's definitely your bell cow.
And that was the Panthers defense, which this is start your running backs against the Panthers D, just like you start anyone against the Jets D. But wow, that was they gave him a lot of touches. I think they want to run the offense through him. If he's going to continue to get 4 receptions or that many targets per game, there is a chance we are drafting him within the first 3 picks of next year's draft.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
He's got the talent. He's definitely got the talent.
He really does. He really does.
Other thing one stuck. Yeah, Robbie Anderson made a big splash out of seemingly nowhere. I don't know. We may hear about him later on. Probably not, but I don't know if he's someone you're looking at to pick up. I'm not, but he's worth a glance.
He's probably rostered on a good bit of teams just because of the
name,
upside potential, the name, having that deep target. Like, he is the deep target for Carolina. DJ Moore, I know he didn't produce insanely well this game. I think the connection is just going to build, though. I wouldn't be too worried about that, but yeah. All right, so next we have the Bears at the Lions. This was actually not that bad of a game. I didn't think this was going to be all that great, but pretty good. What'd you think, Joey?
It was kind of a shocker, honestly. Yeah. The Lions had a 17-point lead and then squandered it completely with Maserati Mitch in the second half, came back and threw a few touchdowns. Anthony Miller was the one that balled out. Allen Robinson, I think he had a lot of targets, but it didn't come down with a whole lot of catches, or at least fantasy-wise, didn't produce a whole lot. As an Allen Robinson wide receiver 1 owner, wasn't great.
See, I can tell you right now, I am an Anthony Miller owner, and I would not agree that Anthony Miller balled out. I was sitting at about 2 fantasy points the entire game, and towards the end of the game had a couple of catches, and then literally last drive for the Bears had a touchdown catch. So it was a nail biter if you were an Anthony Miller owner and you started him. I actually had to sit Kenny Golladay, so I think had Kenny Golladay been in there, the Lions probably would have won this one. But yeah, Mitch Trubisky, I think Allen Robinson made some good catches, and after seeing some of the catches he made and how he just hyper targets Allen Robinson, I was very curious if he was named the starter because he actually is better than Foles, or just because he's learned to hyper target Allen Robinson, and so Robinson makes him look better than Foles. So still debating that. But
Hawkinson had a good game. 14 points in half-point PPR. He's a must-own. Like I said earlier, any tight end that's showing production, you got to pick up and play.
Yeah, Hawkins is definitely talented, so I just hope we can see this kind of production out of him, especially when Golladay comes back. But yeah, I could see it.
Mm-hmm. And DeAndre Swift just breaking all the Lions fans. We're very sorry. DeAndre Swift just broke your heart at the very end.
But don't worry, you have Adrian Peterson.
That's right.
So is a Lions running back kind of standing out above the others? Is Swift kind of taking charge?
I would rather own Swift, but Adrian Peterson looks like, sadly, it looks like it's his backfield to lose right now, which I don't get this. I never get it. Why is it always Adrian Peterson's backfield to lose, or Frank Gore's, or I don't know, somebody like that? It doesn't make any sense. Like, just put DeAndre Swift
Hall of
in there.
Famers. I think it's a respect thing.
They were Hall of Famers.
You know what? You take it, please. Please be the RB1. I'll sit back. It's okay.
I think we all can agree, though. Kerryon Johnson's just...
Looks like it.
It's sad.
Looks like it.
It had to happen at some point. Okay, well, yeah, not much there. Good game by the Bears. All right, Seahawks at Falcons. This is our Birds of Prey game. They let Russ cook. Wow. This is the Russell Wilson we want to see. We get glimpses of him every now and then. Who knows, maybe this was just a small glimpse, but it's pretty exciting for the season opener to see him get this much production. They did not have – Chris Carson had hardly any touches on the ground. He did have a great game receiving, but what did y'all think, of them opening up this air attack here?
It was nice. It was really nice to see the Seattle receivers start making plays. Lockett getting involved, DK with the long bombs, Chris Carson getting involved too. I know I said it in the last episode or maybe earlier, watch out for Carlos Hyde's work in the passing game. Looks like Carson's the passing back. I mean, it's just week 1. We don't know how it looks going forward, but if it is any indication, Chris Carson looked very good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Wilson and Carson look great. Only thing on the Seahawks is DK dropped a couple of easy catches, and would frustrate the hell out of me if I had him on my team. So
sure did for me.
But he ended up with a good game.
He still did well, yeah, but who knows? Like those easy catches could translate to them. Maybe, or Russ not trusting him in certain situations and going more to Tyler Lockett. Lockett still had a pretty decent game, so you never know. But it's good to see the amount of passing they had. Good to see Chris Carson getting involved in the passing game too. I know he barely had any touches running, but the fact that he had that much in the passing game is just very relieving and good to see. So what'd y'all think of the Falcons? Matt Ryan had a pretty good day. They're playing from behind. Todd Gurley pretty good. What'd y'all think?
Good day for Matt Ryan owner. Good day for Julio owner. Todd Gurley, you're getting what you get out of him. I don't think anybody was picking him very high as what he used to go. But Calvin Ridley was one of my starts of the week, and boy, he produced.
Yeah. I actually thought Todd Gurley looked pretty good. He had a couple of explosive runs early, and then I think they fell behind. They couldn't really use him too much.
Yeah, it may have been a game script kind of thing that I'm looking at.
Then Julio Jones, holy crap, some of the catches he made. He's hands down the best wide receiver in the NFL to me, and it's not even close. Too.
Like, he's getting old, and he's still got it. Like, it's crazy.
Doesn't even matter. Yeah, he's one of those transcendent guys like the Calvin Johnsons, T.O., Randy. He's going to be up there with one of them. Yep, all the greats. For sure. I definitely stand Julio. If you couldn't tell, where is he? There he is.
There you go. He's watching over you. It's like an angel in your basement. All right.
Hurst, he didn't have a good game though, did he?
Nah, yeah, not for the draft capital you spent on him. But that's one of those games too. The game script's perfect. Playing from behind like that, you would think that he'd be getting a lot of targets. So I don't know. I don't know what to expect there, honestly.
A lot of mouths to feed in that offense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a fun game overall. Dolphins and Patriots. Cam Newton making his comeback here. Dolphins, unsurprisingly, looked like the Dolphins. What did y'all think? Cam was basically their running back.
Yeah, Cam was my star of the week at quarterback, and he had a great game. 25 points, 2 rushing touchdowns. I think they're going to be a good team, and Belichick, he made the offense fit for Cam and what's going to work for them. So I'm excited about the Patriots this year.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Belichick and McDaniels are doing what they need to do. They got a different quarterback than they've had with Tom Brady, and it's a different offense, and it looks good. Looks like it works for Cam. You didn't see. I think Edelman was the primary beneficiary, as I had predicted, of Cam Newton's passing game, but you didn't really see much from Sony Michel or James White. Kind of got in there a little bit. Yeah, overall, it's Cam who's the player that I really want. Cam and Edelman out of that offense.
Yeah.
Yep, same here. N'Keal Harry, I'm a lot less high on now after that game. The entire backfield, I'm not that high on because Cam's going to be that running back. So, Dolphins, really not high on many players. Their running game did not look good. Really, the only person right now is Preston Williams to me, and that's just because Devonte Parker's out. Mike Gesicki might see an uptick just with Devonte Parker out as well. But, yeah, not a whole lot with the Dolphins, but not too out there to expect that, So
yeah, I don't think this offense is really going to produce until Fitzpatrick gets benched and Tua comes in, and I think they'll have a little bit of electricity and get a little bit of uptake in production.
Even then, I think they need to improve that offensive line first. I think that's where it all starts. And if they can't protect Fitz and can't open up lanes for Howard and Breida, then I don't want anybody.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed. All right, let's go Chargers at Bengals. This was one of the games I was referring to where you are really angry and upset with some of the draft capital you spent. I spent up, second-round pick on Austin Eckler. And I know people spent up to get Joe Mixon, especially after that contract. Everything saying he's going to be the bell cow. Not the best game, actually. This was a very heavy game management by both QBs. We saw some good things out of Joe Burrow, but Ultimately, this game was pretty slow. Seemed like both teams were just trying to manage the game, trying their hardest not to lose, as opposed to actually trying to win. So, what'd y'all think?
Yeah, I think all these guys are good fantasy players, and this was just one of those games where no one got the touchdowns he needed to have that big fantasy game. I think all these guys are going to be good going forward.
Right.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, one player on the Bengals I was excited about, Joe Burrow, like I said, he did show a lot of good spurts, especially at the end of the game, leading that drive to get them down the field, ultimately to have a missed field goal.
Oh, that was crazy.
That was pretty bad. But AJ Green, him and AJ Green looked like they had some good chemistry there. So I'm excited about AJ Green, actually, because I feel like they're both building some good chemistry. It looks like the AJ Green we're used to, so barring any injury, he could be pretty good this season, even though he didn't quite produce what we wanted him to this past game.
Yeah, I agree with all that. Like I predicted, I thought Ingram and Bosa were going to get to Joe Burrow early, and they did. But yeah, it was kind of an ugly game overall. I think Pouncey was out for the Chargers, and that didn't help on that offensive line to get things going. But I agree with James. I think this is just one of those games where it just wasn't a good fantasy game overall. But these are good fantasy players, so don't go dropping your Eckler and Mixon and AJ Green and Keenan Allen and everybody. Don't
Too late. Too late. Already dropped them all.
Mid-show
dropped all of them. I was very scared. All right. Moving on to the Cards and 49ers. There was a lot of smog at this game for the weather. Also, quick news before we get into the game. George Kittle, he got injured during this game with a sprain in his knee. He actually is being considered day-to-day, so keep an eye out for him just in case he does have to miss. Big bump in Jordan Reed if he does have to miss some time, though, so that'll be good. But what y'all think of this Cardinals at 49ers game?
The Cardinals looked amazing. I mean, they had a very explosive offense against one of the best defenses in the NFL. So I think they're going to be one of the best teams this year. And then 49ers, it looks like it's Mostert's backfield. I think you can be confident playing him every week.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. Kyler Murray was forcing those targets to DeAndre Hopkins, and, I mean, he force-fed him, and it worked out great. I do think the Cardinals are going to be an offense that you're going to want a piece of this season. Kyler Murray's finally running a lot. Looks great. The 49ers defense was a little shaky. And, Mostert is the one to have in that backfield, definitely.
Yep.
I think you may see a bump in Deebo Samuel when he comes back, too, with George Kittle being out.
Right.
As well.
We'll see how long George Kittle's out for because I think they moved Deebo to the IR, so who knows? George Kittle might not miss any time. He might just miss 1 week, so we'll see there. But, Cardinals looked great. DeAndre Hopkins looked great as a Cardinal, so looking for big things there from them. Moving on to the Bucs at the Saints. This game, Tom Brady for the Bucs, not exactly what we were expecting, huh? For the first game?
No, it wasn't. The thing that stuck out to me is with the Bucs, they have all this talent with all these players, but I think this is the team that stuck out the most where the offseason was necessary for them. They didn't look like a lot of chemistry between Brady and Evans and Godwin. You saw him with a touchdown to Evans eventually later on and to Howard, but they need some work. They definitely need some work.
And that's what I was saying going into this game. I thought they were going to need a couple of games to kind of get the chemistry rolling, to get things going, and get all those cogs in motion. So, I think, Saints are a great D, but I think they might need a couple of games to get things going. So,
now, are you still playing all your Bucs, or are you going to wait till they prove it to you that they are that explosive offense?
Godwin.
I'm still playing them.
I'm playing Godwin, but I'm a little weary on Evans, especially with the injury still, the hamstring. I'm probably not playing Brady, and I don't know about the running backs. I don't know who
Brady
I want, Fournette
still had a fine game.
Rojo.
I think he will do well. I think it was just Saints D. I think his first game type thing. I'll play Brady. I'll play Godwin. I agree Evans is a little concerning, but only because I feel like they probably shouldn't have played him this game. I'd rather him have sat this game, get the rest, come back next week. He didn't play that much this game, but still, I would have rather them not played him at all. So hopefully he's fully healthy next week, but I'd play him if he's healthy. So, running back game is the only thing I'm a little weary about just because I don't know if you're going to know if it's going to be a Fournette week or a Ronald Jones week.
Yeah, and then on the Saints side, Michael Thomas, that was a concerning performance, but I mean, it should be better going forward.
Yeah. Well, the thing is he's dealing with that injury, so we'll see what happens with there. So I don't know what to really expect from Michael Thomas going forward.
If he does miss some time, though, moving forward, I would say Jared Cook and probably Emmanuel Sanders get the biggest bumps there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, awesome. Moving on to our last game we're going to cover is the Cowboys at the Rams. I thought, and I'm a little upset because I thought that Dak Prescott should have gotten that rushing touchdown. I actually thought the Cowboys offense looked pretty good. Zeke was feasting. Dak seemed like he was moving the ball downfield, and he seemed like he had some weapons. Like, Amari Cooper was there. He's got Michael Gallup. He had CeeDee Lamb making some good plays, looking quick and, cutting across the field. He looked like he had a lot of weapons to use. And I know they lost to the Rams, but I feel like their offense is going to be pretty potent.
Yeah, I think Dak Prescott had a really good game, and they just couldn't win. But I thought he played really well. And I think it is going to be a great offense this year.
Yeah, definitely. This offense could repeat with the number one passing offense again. I think only adding CeeDee Lamb only adds to the fire. Cooper, Gallup looked great. Zeke, he's great. Tony Pollard looked good. Yeah, Cowboys overall looked really strong. With the Rams, Bobby Tree is soaking up those targets.
Yep.
Oh, it was so good.
He definitely had a much better game than any of the other receivers on the team. Cooper Kupp didn't get that involved. Tyler Higbee didn't get as involved, but yeah. So what do we think of Malcolm Brown? He was looking like the bell cow for that backfield. What'd y'all think?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think you got to pick him up if he's available, and I don't know if he's a must play. Probably is. What do you guys think?
I don't think he's a must play, but he's a must own. You definitely want that Rams running back. And I still think Cam Akers is incredibly talented. So there's still room for him to be involved. I think you got to own Malcolm Brown or Cam Akers, but I don't know if I want to start him just yet. It's going to be a matchup play probably.
Yep. I thought he looked pretty good, actually. It's crazy I don't know. From last year, the Rams line wasn't that great. This year, their line looks good. Their Malcolm Brown looks good. It's kind of crazy that they paid Todd Gurley so much, and then having Malcolm Brown come in this game doing so good, it's like, maybe you didn't really need Todd Gurley after all, especially with that one season when they had CJ Anderson come in the last couple of games and then the playoffs for Todd Gurley. So, I think this is probably going to be a good run game for the Rams. So, yeah, I would like Malcolm Brown, but I agree, Joey. I think at some point it might be Cam Akers instead. I think Malcolm Brown kind of does this to us. He has a couple of good games to start the season, and then after that, not a whole lot. So,
such a tease.
This looks like the Rams offense from a couple years ago that was highly efficient.
Yep.
So I think the Rams should be a good fantasy team this year.
Definitely.
Agreed.
Definitely. Well, awesome. Well, that is our reactions to all the Week 1 games. So next, James, we're going to be moving into the waiver wires and trade targets.
Waves and trades. All right, waiver wire pickups this week. We think these are the top guys you should be looking for in your leagues. Nyheim Hines, Joshua Kelly, Dallas Goedert, Malcolm Brown, Peyton Barber, and Paris Campbell. Joey, what do you think?
Nyheim Hines is probably the number one pickup on the week. That guy is getting involved. He's got Phillip Rivers, who loves to target the running back, getting plenty of PPR points for you. So Nyheim Hines, you're spending a lot of fab on that guy. Maybe 80 fab on Nyheim
Really?
Hines. Yeah, I'd spend a lot.
Wow.
It's the Phillip Rivers.
I would not go that
Phillip Rivers
high.
back.
Yeah.
Really?
That's too much. No.
I thought earlier I heard you guys saying about 90.
Oh no, that was a joke. Complete sarcasm. No, I mean, I agree.
Clearly.
I think Nyheim Hines is going to be not the Austin Eckler of last year, but I think from last game we're seeing that Austin Eckler last year partially was due to Phillip Rivers actually hyper targeting that much. Like, wasn't game script, wasn't the Chargers like wanting it to happen. It was actually Phillip Rivers, so he took that with him to Indianapolis. Nyheim Hines' work also came with Marlon Mack being in, as well as Jonathan Taylor taking touches. Now that Marlon Mack is gone, it's going to be Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines, and they've already come out and said Jonathan Taylor's a starter, but Nyheim Hines is still going to get a lot of work. So, yeah, I think you might be able to get a Austin Eckler type with Nyheim Hines. But at the same time, I would not be spending 80 fab on him. Beginning of the season, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. I would say probably.
All right. So, disclaimer, I haven't played a fab league, so
Joey just thought 80
I clearly
was a
don't know
good
how much
number.
to spend.
Joey just likes the number 80.
He's a good player. I really like Nyheim Hines this season, guys. Spend everything
80
on
sounds
him.
pretty. Let's spend that.
I like the number 80.
Why not?
I think in the 20s is a good amount with it being the beginning of the season. I think if you really need running back, I would say 30s probably. If you're like, in need, those Lev Bell owners who are kind of starting to crumble after his injury and then kind of noticing there might not be as much production there. If you need him, don't be afraid to spend in the 30s because you never know. He could be like the Austin Eckler from last year. So, yeah. But, definitely not 80.
Now, how much?
Only thing I want to go ahead.
Well, no, go ahead. I was going to go to a different player, so you keep going.
Same. You go first.
All right. Well, I was going to say I was going to ask, since I'm clearly out of it on Fab, how much would you guys spend on Dallas Goddard?
James, I'll let you go first.
More or less than what you spend on Hines?
Less for me.
Okay.
I would say less as well, but I could see a lot of potential with Dallas Goddard also. Sometimes I spend too much at the beginning of the season, so I don't want to. So I would say in the teens probably for Goddard would be good, but I could also see in the 20s still being okay because you can kind of connect the dots here. So Dallas Goddard, he has all of those things. Then on top of that, Zach Ertz is not reaching an agreement with the Eagles with his contract extension. So I don't know. You never know. Maybe they get rid of Zach Ertz and this becomes Dallas Goddard's, team to be. So if that's the case, yeah, like spending a little bit extra in the 20s on him this early and you end up getting like a nice tight end one because of it is awesome return on an investment there. So, but again, that's just, one of those things you kind of have to take a chance on. I don't like to spend too much fab at the beginning of the season, but then there really aren't that many injuries and things throughout the season sometimes to where, you might be holding off and then you end up having still all of your fab by the end because you refuse to spend it. So
if you think he's going to be a top 5 tight end, then I think you should spend whatever. I think you should spend what it takes to get him on your team because tight ends are hard to come by, and when you do have one, you need them.
Yep. So you should spend
the only
80, right?
I think 50 isn't crazy. If you think that's what he's going to be, I don't think 50 is bad.
Yeah, because really you can't connect the dots with him. Like it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, there is the potential, or oh, it was one good week. We saw it last year. He had a lot of good weeks. He still gets a good bit of playing time. He's insanely athletic, and then like I said, there are the chances that Zach Ertz maybe gets traded, maybe something happens because they're not willing to extend his contract. So you never know. Who knows?
Yeah. Only other player I wanted to bring up is Paris Campbell. He kind of had a quiet game, but if he's not on your leagues, I would put a little bit of fab out there to get him because I think in a couple weeks he's going to have a monster game. He had 9 targets this week, and I think this guy's very fast, and he's going to score some touchdowns. So Get him now before he blows up.
Yep.
Yeah. Great talent.
I agree. A couple other names to just throw out there that are good ads this week. Not necessarily spending as much as Nyheim Hines or Dallas Goddard on them, but Joshua Kelly, could see him being like that Melvin Gordon role. Malcolm Brown, we talked about him a lot. If he's on your waivers, definitely want to get him. Peyton Barber, someone to get, not super high on him, but he had a lot of touches. He had the goal line work, so he's a good name as well. So, and then there are some that aren't necessarily owned in all leagues, but in most they are. I know Anthony Miller is one that I think he got drafted in a good bit of leagues, but if he's out there, definitely scoop him up. He'd probably take some high waiver priority on our lists, with Dallas Goddard and with Nyheim Hines. But again, he's not in most leagues, so if he is, scoop him up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
And just to close out this episode, we have some trade targets. We like to go after guys who had a bad week one and that you can probably get for very cheap right now, for the low.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Some guys you should be targeting in your leagues: AJ Green, Miles Sanders, Michael Thomas, Austin Eckler, Joe Mixon. Anyone with a big name that did poor this week, see if you can get them for cheap.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you really want to play off the emotions of the owner, make them think that this is not just a week one thing, but this is going to be the entire season, and get them for cheap. This is possibly the cheapest you can get them, because the second they have a breakout game, they're either not going to get rid of them or they're going to make the price that much higher. So yeah, definitely play off those emotions, that fear. I would throw another name in there. I would actually say Cam Akers. I think with Malcolm Brown doing so well, people might think he's going to be the go-to guy, so they might be willing to sell Cam Akers fairly low. And then I actually think Cam Akers will probably start to get more of the touches, and as good as Malcolm Brown looked last game, I think that Cam Akers could look better and could possibly take over that entire backfield. So yeah, players like that though you want to buy low on, so that way you can get them for cheap and the talent's going to be good.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's going to do it for this episode of Grown Up Fantasy Football. Be sure to check us out on Twitter and Facebook at GrownUpFF. Go listen, like, and subscribe wherever we are. We're on YouTube. Leave a comment below on your reactions to week one, who you'd pick up on the waiver wire, and who you may be looking for in a trade. And without further ado, go like and subscribe, grow up, and get guffed.
Thank you.